Hey, welcome back to the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian.
This is Darryl.
And Darryl, this is episode 465, and Invincible by any other name. I feel like we might have used this one before.
Probably so.
I mean, it's 465 episodes. If I can go and only have two that are the same title. I mean, it's not the same title technically because this is episode 465 and that one was whatever. Anyway, welcome to the show, Darryl. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I am also doing well. I've been enjoying NFL free agency and all the nonsense that's been happening. My beloved New York Football Giants, in their infinite wisdom, gave Slayton, one of their wide receivers, $36 million for 3 years after just a season ago offering Saquon Barkley, who probably should have been the MVP of the NFL this year, offered him 33 for 3 years, and he is now the highest paid running back in the history of football after winning a Super Bowl with the dreaded Philadelphia Eagles.
That's a very good point. This is the thing. Without Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills do nothing. Without Saquon Barkley, Philadelphia definitely does not get to the Super Bowl.
No.
They don't get to the Super Bowl. They don't win the Super Bowl.
And to be honest,
either one, you can say either one.
Like Saquon probably should have had 11 more touchdowns than he did. He was tackled. He was tackled inside the 4 more than any running back in the league this year, and all of them but one, they did a tush push.
Seriously?
Yep.
I didn't know. So when you say like these are on runs, like
on
not
runs
necessarily huge runs, but
just on runs, either
10, 15-yard run
or
20,
he was they were on the 6 and he got tackled inside on the 1. So yeah. And I don't like the Eagles. Like I do not like the Eagles. I don't want to say nice things about the Eagles.
I don't mind the Eagles.
Can't believe I had to root for the Eagles.
I just think Philadelphia fans, sports fans in general, not all of them, but in general, they're scum of the earth.
They're the third worst sports fan base.
Yeah.
Obviously, besides Ohio State and Notre Dame.
Yeah. Although I don't know if I can't tell you for a fact, but I don't know if Philadelphia has opposing fans have been stabbed in the arena like they were in Oakland. So but those at least Philly fans say that.
But that's true. But they did throw batteries at Santa Claus. But they also those Raiders fans
they also booed Darren Dalton's
exist.
4-year-old. Yeah. The Philly fans also booed Darren Dalton's 4-year-old son during a father-son game because he was having they were contract disputes. Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, it's still Ohio State
just
number
own
1. It's still Ohio State number 1. It's the worst fans ever. But yeah,
I mean, it's from what I've heard from Michigan players and what's happened with their parents over the decades of going to that toilet bowl that is Columbus. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like people are just in general, people are dumb. But when you get in sports and politics involved, I don't know. It's just anyway. But to your point, yes, Saquon should have definitely been the MVP, or I don't know where he even finished in the voting. So
I think he was 3rd, maybe 4th.
Okay.
So, but still, like he should have been. Yeah. So, and then in actual relevant to the show news, I saw I saw Mickey 17 over the weekend. I know we're probably not going to review it. It as of right now, it's my highest rated movie of the year of the 3 that I've seen.
What have you seen?
Well, Den of Thieves 2, which I actually watched again the other day because I bought it. The Gorge, and then Mickey 17.
Oh. Well, you were going into Mickey 17 liking it, so.
Well, I will say this. It has so I gave it a 7.75 out of 10. The first 2/3 of the movie are fantastic, and then it falls off the cliff a bit at the ending. And part of that is because Mark Ruffalo is such a bad actor that he just had too much screen time. And it's 2 hours and 17 minutes long. Yes, Poor Things is a great example of that. So it's 2 hours and 17 minutes long. They could have actually, what they should have done is he should have just been like a background thing on the screens of the ship. And he never should have been like a real person. He played this like Donald Trump type, like cult leader thing. Anyway, but he was really bad. But that being said, Toni Collette as his wife was awesome. And then Robert Pattinson just throughout the whole movie is fantastic. Just completely fantastic, especially when there's Mickey 17 and Mickey 18. And the way he plays both of them so different. It was pretty great. And then Invincible himself was was one of the main characters. Steve Young was one of the main characters in Mickey 17, and he was really good too. And it's like, hey, look, it's Invincible and Batman together. I mean, that is a thing that happened in the comics when he's like, you mean you dress like a bat? Anyway. All right. But yeah, I definitely recommend seeing it. I will say this. I definitely like this better than Parasite, which the director won Best Picture for a couple years ago.
Yeah.
What's that?
I still haven't seen it.
Bong Joon-ho. So you haven't seen Parasite yet?
No.
You should watch it. I mean, it's worth watching. It's just weird.
No, I mean, it's been on my list. I just haven't watched it.
So
I keep saying I'm going to watch it. And like, even when it first came out on Hulu or whatever, like a few years back, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to watch this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I haven't watched it yet.
I think it might be on Prime now. I don't know. It jumps around. It just gets around.
Like the fourth quarter in Wisconsin football.
Yeah. But I will say this: Mickey 17 had $118 million budget, and it only made $54 million to date. So,
when did it come out? I thought it came out this weekend.
Well, it opened. Well, it opened in Korea on February 28th, and then it opened here on March 7th. So
you said 54 worldwide? Did you say?
No, that's just North America. I can go into Box Office Mojo real quick.
Oh, by the way, it's still on Hulu, Parasite.
Okay,
and it says
there you go. Yeah.
Netflix too.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Mickey 17. Overall, I don't know where Wikipedia is getting their numbers. Worldwide, Wikipedia has a typo. It's 45 million.
I was about to say, it's 45.
So yeah, it had the rest of the numbers right, but it just had a dyslexic moment.
19 million this weekend.
It did, yeah. Domestic, it did 20 so far. So
yeah,
God, it opened up on 3,800 screens. That's crazy. See, here's the thing. If this was a 90-minute movie, it would be a masterpiece. Like, I know I'm cutting 45 minutes of the movie out, but seriously, he would have had to tighten it up so much. It would have been a masterpiece. There's that much good meat on the bones in this movie, followed by that.
Yeah, but again, I will say not every movie.
No, I know.
Make it to 90 minutes.
I'm just saying,
we're gonna have to
there was a bunch of
in the bud.
There was a bunch of stuff and there was actually good stuff that they could have cut out as well. But the guy that played Hazel in the first season of Umbrella Academy is in it, and it's like I recognized him by his voice. So because he also was in Mindhunter. He was the serial killer in the first season.
Oh yeah, okay.
So he's in it, and so it was fun to see him in it. So anyway, all right. Do you want to talk about Invincible now?
Oh, you don't want to talk about Snape?
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. Snape?
Alan Rickman
Alan
was so
Rickman?
good. That's Snape. Yeah, he was great.
So I mean,
Yeah,
Alan Rickman
such a good
is
Snape.
he is he's a
Yes.
treasure.
Yes.
One of the
And he was the
finest.
sheriff of Nottingham too.
Yes,
Hans
sir, he
Gruber.
was. Yep. He's one of the greatest actors of any generation. So yes, Snape. Good on you. That's good. Good to mention that. All right, let's talk about Invincible because wow, this was an amazing penultimate episode.
You just wanted to say penultimate. I could see right through you.
You can see whatever you want, but the Invincible War was fantastic. Fantastic.
Yes, it was. And as we were talking about prior to recording, and we get on TV shows about this all the time, where it's you have 8 episodes or 10 episodes or whatever, what have you. This is not the days of the 20 episode seasons where you're allowed to have some filler that doesn't really further the plot or just kind of puts everything into a halt. And that's what episodes 5 and 6 were. That's why it says no, episodes 5 and 6 never happened, because they did happen, but it was tough getting through them because they weren't bad, but man, it was tough getting through those.
I mean, Amber was back in one of those episodes for way too much. It was bad.
And it really had me down on the season, like as a whole, because again, when you have such a short time frame to tell a story, you can't do bullshit like that. And thankfully this episode happened, the Invincible War, and I kind of forgot about the just the lameness of the previous 2 episodes.
Yes. So the Invincible War in the comic is an entire trade. Like the whole war itself doesn't take 6 issues, but like it's amazing. It is the most brutally violent part of the comic book until you get to the outer space stuff with the full-on Viltrumites. Then it just takes it to another level. Ryan Otley, you are a master of your craft, sir.
Oh man, I love his art.
And so what happens here is Angstrom Levy has survived the beatdown Mark gave him at the beginning of the season, and he has come back with a whole bunch of Invincibles from around the multiverse, who are all evil. And they did some good ones. There were more in the comics, obviously. I think there were only like 14 this time. But it was still really, really cool to see all the different ones. The one, okay, so spoilers. I can't talk about this without spoiling it. Is that all right?
Oh yeah, you have to.
Okay. So the one fight that I really want to bring out, it was actually the Guardians of the Globe versus one of the Invincibles. And one of the coolest things they did was they just took the animation from when Omni-Man fought the Guardians.
Yes.
And swapped out Omni-Man for Mark, and then the other Guardians, save the Immortal, for the new Guardians of the Globe. And it was pretty fantastic. And then it's pretty much everyone, pretty much everyone's dead except for Rex, who is just in a bad way. And he goes full Gambit. And actually, you could say Gambit went full Rex. But he ignites his skeleton to blow up Mark, or the evil Mark. And I saw someone put together a reel, top and bottom, of those two scenes together. And it's like, I didn't think I could get more sad about fictional characters dying in cartoons than I could from watching that reel for both of these characters. I mean, they're the same character, but both of these characters,
Yeah.
It was awesome. And the way his skeleton started to glow under his skin, it was just such a great, like a great scene, beat for beat. And then the animation was just like, the animation on this show is definitely a strong point, but the animation was just next level.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think in the comics there were like 20 something, 20 plus marks. I don't know the exact number, but again, I understand why they cut it down a little bit, and they did do a good job giving us the more interesting ones.
Well, Mohawk Mark is the best one. He comes back to play
I was
later
just
on,
about to say Mohawk Mark. Yeah.
But yeah. And it's great because like some of them killed Debbie, some of them didn't kill Debbie, some of them are working with Omni-Man, some of them are not. There was one who misses William, which honestly, if I feel like if people hadn't made a big deal out of it, nobody would even notice that he said it.
And that's my whole point. Yeah. Like if I didn't read the like somebody behind the like one of the the people that are involved in this saying something, I would have just again this Hollywood say less.
Yeah,
that's all we ask. Say less.
Say less.
That's it's just say less. Things would work out a lot better for you if you just didn't feel you had to say anything.
And here's the thing. I don't even have a problem with him saying it. It's just the people, like the characters saying it. The problem was the dipshits later on who like are not animated, who are real life dipshits who,
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
like,
no, I know. But
so yeah, him saying it again, let's go back to another example we've talked about before.
Warrior Nun.
There's a trans character in Warrior Nun. Did I even blink at it? I was just like, oh, I you know what I said? I was like, oh, I'm thinking that is a trans character, but I just, but there's nothing in the story, there's nothing in the acting that calls it out in a way that's, you're doing the DEI / let's show everybody. But they made that character a character, and I have no problems with stuff like that.
Right. None.
If you're making a character, whether they're gay or whether it's a female, it doesn't matter. If you're making them a character for that for that scene, and you're making them a true to life character, not for any of your check boxes, I will never have a problem with. Now I might say, oh, this character was written poorly or acted poorly, but that like Warrior Nun, we go to that a lot because I've never we've been online for years since that, and I don't see a lot of talk about Warrior Nun. It's awesome. And two, if people listen to us and the people that say, well, you just don't like this because it's a woman, this, that, or the other, Warrior Nun is a perfect counter to all of their arguments.
Right.
And that's just one thing. That's just one of the recent things. There's plenty in the past that we could count in the last. And I don't mean in the past 30 years. I mean in the past 10 years where you can say, okay, what about this character? What about this character? So, yeah, I had no problem with him saying it. It's just I just don't like Hollywood and people, the Hollywood types who want to stand up and raise their hand and say, we did that because of reasons.
Right.
It really cheapens it, to be honest.
It does. And here's the thing is like they actually watered William down for the cartoon. And made him much less interesting because William had his own badass story arc early on in Mark's superhero career that was hilarious, heartwarming, and like showing what a true like actual friendship is between these two characters. And
he has no arc in
no, he's just gay. He's just gay window dressing, and he has. So and here's the thing: if they did William right, that scene where he said "I miss William" would have hit even harder.
Dude, it would have been so good. Yeah, but we don't. This is why we, like I say, we said this with Snape, with the whole Snape thing that didn't happen, that we're not going to talk about.
Snap.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Snarp.
But again, that little diatribe of ours that just went on for like 5 minutes just now, it didn't take like that. Still didn't take away like, yeah, that's the scene. It's or not the scene, but this episode itself. And it wasn't just the fact that it was some great action, some great animation, some just great crazy marks and. Not all of them were crazy, but
no, but they were all evil.
but yes.
So, well, like I think
you had the one with the Omni-Man costume on.
I think some great Mark well, some Mark, but like Mark, this when Eve gets injured and Mark won't leave her side, and the way he reacts because he loves her so much, and when Cecil's like, "Get out there, kid," he's like, "I can't leave her. I have to protect her." You know, that's one thing, but at the same time, it's probably better for that Mark not to be out there because all that's going to happen is, you know, someone's going to mistake him for one of the evil ones. Like I never saw that as a flaw for him not going back out there. Powerplex is way OP in this show.
Oh yeah, man.
I mean, I get it. I'm still disappointed he didn't say bitch. Like Jesse, but I mean, it's kind of like, you know, he should have to say bitch, kind of like Matthew McConaughey should have to either say green light or all right in everything he does.
And because I'm in the midst of watching Breaking Bad, I kept like every time I heard his voice, I was waiting for the bitch.
Yeah. Right. So, but yeah, it's just one of those things.
And this is absolutely an episode. I'm surprised I haven't already. Well, not surprised because I was watching other stuff, but that I after watching it, I was like, oh, I kind of want to watch this again. And I don't
did watch
that
it
much
again.
with shows.
So, well, I mean, like you said, this is one of my favorite like Earthbound story arcs. Because like once he leaves Earth the first time, like that's when the show goes to another level. And then when it closes out in the final 14 episodes where he abandons Earth, having learned his lesson from going into the future, it's really good. But yeah, definitely. Like here's the fun thing is like if you watch the first season and you're like, this show is stupid, I'm not watching any more of it. Like I was going to do. And then the second season brought you around like it did for me. Watch this episode. Like you don't have to know anything about what's going on to enjoy this episode. And then the final thing is we get Conquest, who is voiced by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Right. No. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I always want to say Jeffrey Dean Anderson. I don't know why. People are complaining about him as the voice of Conquest.
Why?
I think those are the people who keep us from having nice things.
Yeah, that's probably right.
So, I thought like it was great. Like I didn't like him as Negan because he played Negan more like a fancy maitre d' than a crazy psychopath. But
Glenn would disagree with that, but and Abraham.
Yeah.
But
anyway. It was just the ascot. It was like, I don't know. He was too. Here's the thing: Jeffrey Dean Morgan can be a big guy. Like he can bulk up, right? Like you saw Watchmen. He was too lean for me to play Negan. It's like nobody's following this gay dude in a leather biker jacket. It's cute. Oh, where's your assless chaps, buddy?
I will argue that.
That's why I stopped.
What
he's
he
why
did
I stopped watching
Dwayne.
the show. So, but anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to Invincible, his voice is fine.
Yeah, and next episode is Invincible versus Conquest, which is just like chef's kiss fight in the comic book. And Mark basically takes everything he's learned thus far to fight Conquest, and there's something that happens. I'm not going to spoil this from the comic, but if the season doesn't end on a particular shot, in a giant concrete area, I'm going to be really upset.
Yeah, I am. I'm pretty sure that. I don't pretty sure. Like I'll be curious to see how they end it, but I'm thinking of that as well.
Okay. I'm glad
I'm thinking they'll do that.
I like how we finish each other's sandwiches on these conversations.
I'm keeping my sandwich to myself. But
Anyway, all right. Let's talk. Let's talk a little.
we didn't give it a rating.
Oh shoot, you're right. We didn't give it a rating. Okay, so out of 5, the Invincible War Was Crazys. What do you give it?
4.45.
I give it a 4.5. This is my favorite episode of the show. I have not given anything anywhere near this.
I mean, it is. I can see that. Again, especially. I mean, we're not even counting season 1 because of reasons. We both
sucked,
know.
And like I think the highest I gave anything was like a 2.
Yeah, that was definitely hate watching for the first season.
Actually, that's.
I mean, I liked it more than you.
The only good thing about season 1 was when Omni-Man went to the Daxam universe, and then we got to see him destroy their world. That was cool.
Oh.
So, and honestly, and when him and Mark fought, that was cool too. So those 2 things. Everything else sucked.
Yeah, agree.
Anyway, all right. Now can we move on?
We can move on now.
Okay, thank you. So Reacher season 3 has come out. We are 5 episodes in. So episode 6 comes out on the 13th, which is the day after tomorrow. And so we have watched all 5 of the first season, or of the third season's episodes. Let's get the rating out of the way real quick. Okay. So out of 10, Reacher is so unstoppable, gravity is just as suggestions. How many do you give it?
I give it a 7 out of 10. It's a fun time. It's dumb fun. I think more so it's getting to the point of Fast and Furious. Not quite there. Don't get me wrong. It's not quite there yet.
It's funny because he was
but
in
it's more
Fast X.
Yeah, which I still haven't seen that one. But I mean, it's fun. It's fun. I'll just put it that way, and then so what'd you give it?
I gave it a 7.76 out of 10 because this is the first time we've actually seen him truly on his own. And watching how many boneheaded mistakes he actually makes when Neely's not there to see him is the funnest part of this show. It is the funnest part of this season.
And again, this is why I can't and again, I've let go of this because I would have to. This show isn't meant to be serious.
No.
Because it can't be. It can't. Because, like you said, all the dumb mistakes he makes, or when he does something and he's talking to like any of the guys, the guys he's working for, he's like, I don't know how this happened. It sounds so fake. Where it's like, is that an acting or a directing choice there?
Yes. Because I think both.
I don't get it. The first time that happened, it kind of threw me off. I'm like, and then it's happened again and again where it's to the point where that's why I said I had to let go, because like the little things in this, and that's why I gave it a 7.
Yeah. So
I was going to get.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. You were going to.
No, I was just going to say I was going to keep it a lot lower, but then I had to say, okay, look, let me sit down and think, you know what? I'm having fun with it. It's ridiculous in good ways and in ways that make me roll my eyes, but I'm having fun with it. So that's why I got a 7. Not that it's good, but I'm having fun with it.
Okay. So 2 things. One, they need to get Darian Brooks, who played Alex Moran in Blue Mountain State, to show up in an episode. 2, this is Thad Castle, who finally got his limes on the beach at the end of the Rise of Thadland version of Reacher, because he keeps doing dumb Thad Castle shit, but then somehow figuring his way out of it, like Thad Castle always did.
Yeah.
So I the term headcanon, which I actually kind of hate. Like, my headcanon is this is Thad, and he went to the army after he left Flame Football, and now he's Jack Reacher, and but no, like it's just like from the beginning. So okay, episode 1, He's in Maine, and the swerve from the first episode was really got me like interested in the season.
Yeah, because to be honest, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Nothing going on makes sense to me in that the first 5 or 10 minutes, and then we see why, and it's like, okay, because nothing was happening there that made sense.
Yeah, and it's like, wait, how is Reacher like knowing what's happening with this car? Why does he have a van? He doesn't drive. You know, it was it was kind of it was funny. It was really kind of funny to see, but I thought it did a really good job introducing Susan Duffy, who is Marissa Tomei, if you ordered her off of Temu, as a DEA agent who's trying to find her undercover asset inside of the bad guy's base, and Reacher is searching for Francis Quinn, who he believed he had killed. So yeah, it's pretty. I don't know. I really like it. I really liked the first episode, and especially because like at the end when he finds is it Tressa? Teresa? No, it's I think it's Tressa.
Yes, Teresa.
Teresa. When he finds Teresa's little bracelet, I thought that was pretty cool. And honestly, the show looks really good. Like it's actually shot. I feel like it's shot a little bit different. It's a little grittier than the previous season. And the way they light him, he just looks so much more haggard.
Yes,
than
I
he
could see
normally
that.
does,
Right.
which I like.
Yeah, and going back to Duffy, who's one of my favorite parts of this season, if probably like I love her back and forth, not just with Reacher but with Villanueva, like the her partner.
Yeah.
And the first few minutes she was in the show, I did not like her, and I don't know what it was. Like I don't even remember it. Probably like halfway through this first episode, I was like, okay, I actually kind of like her. Like, but she really brings that. Like, and again, I won't just say she, but she and Villanueva, because he is her almost her that side of her, because she runs very hot, and there are times where he has to back her down. He's like, you know what, you need to chill out. I mean, we're on the same side here. We need to just chill out. So I really like their dynamic, and I do like Reacher's dynamic with what's the boy's name? The kid, the son's name.
Yeah. What is his name? Is it no? Is it Richard? Yeah, Richard. That's the kid. Richard.
Okay.
Richard Beck. Because you'll never be the toughest guy in a fight, kid.
Yeah.
So
sorry to break it to you.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's good. So the second episode, this is the only one where we see Neely so far, and it was just a phone call to her in her fancy office. The cool thing is we get to learn more about Polly in this episode a little bit, or we get to see Polly more. And I hate that they put the scene out as a trailer for them in the gym when he gets Polly to punch himself in the face.
I didn't see that.
You
before the show.
Okay. Yeah, it was a clip they put out. It was like, just accidentally saw it.
Yeah.
I should.
Well, we both know
that
they put too much stuff out, whether it be movie trailers, whether it be scenes like you're talking about. Yeah. It's just like, step back. Like, come on.
Yeah. So, but no, this one was interesting. It was, Angel Doll was a big part of this, which was a ridiculous name, for a bad guy. But yeah, they're going through the car and like they're, there was this whole thing in the garage where, Angel Doll basically figures out that Reacher is onto, or he's onto Reacher, and Reacher kind of John Wicks him in a way, or Joker's him in The Dark Knight. So, do you want to see a pencil disappear?
This is the other thing about this show, and I was really trying to think about it. And again, not that it's necessarily a good or a bad thing, it just is. I understand having to do what you have to do, but it just seems like Reacher is so much more detached. And again, maybe it's this to your point of being alone, being on his own for the first time. He feels it's like he is so detached from humanity in the way he just kills people now and doesn't blink. And again, not that he didn't before, he didn't kill people before,
but doesn't. Yeah, you're right. He's detached and he's just so much more brutal about it.
Yeah,
and not just the killing, just the way he acts with people. Like, just jumping ahead to the 5th episode, like Brendan Fletcher's character when he punches him in the gut, right? It was like, Reacher wouldn't have done that. And like, maybe it's because he's kind of in character, so to speak.
Right.
But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. And I just started noticing that in the last 2 episodes where it just and again, it's not saying that the people that he does that to don't deserve it either. It's just it's more about it's less about them and more about, where it's like, you treat somebody a certain way. No, it's less about them and more about you. Like, even if they deserve it, you don't always have to go that route. I mean, sometimes you do.
Yeah.
And like some of these cases, Reacher had to do it to, save his own ass. But it just seems like he feels very detached. And again, you brought up that point about being alone, and that this might be the end result of being alone and for a guy like that for so long, and then being in a situation where he doesn't have backup at all. And I mean, he does in Duffy, but he doesn't have backup of people that he trusts with his life, like the special investigators whom you do not mess with.
Right. No, you're right. And it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, like, stop killing people, dude. I will say this. I think episode 2 was the weakest one of the 5.
Yeah, it's like, again,
and I'm not saying it's a bad episode. I'm just saying of the 5.
Yeah, it's not
it's the weakest one.
Yeah, now that I'm going back and I just kind of looking at the quick, skim through the summaries, I think it is to me. But again, like you said, it's not bad.
Yeah,
it's just not as strong.
Right. And I think part of it too is like, not that it's filler, but it's it didn't move the story forward a whole lot. It just kind of like treaded water while we got to the next episode, which was number 2 with a bullet, where Reacher ends up becoming, Anthony Michael Hall's, fixer, the guy, the head of security.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, this one was like, there's a lot of warehouses this season, and I kind of like it. I kind of like them like sneaking around warehouses. It feels very like Tom Clancy, like Splinter Cell kind of thing.
I mean, the huge finale in season 1 was a warehouse.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I have found like this episode with everybody out of the cabin, like where the DEA agents are hiding, and the bodyguard that they have captured, and everything that's kind of happening there, is pretty like, foreshadowing. There's a lot of foreshadowing that happens and things like that. So it's pretty, I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I also, that estate is just immaculate,
dude.
I just love everything about that.
Quentin Beck's, and how estate, or Zach,
and how it plays up against the water.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that cliff too.
Yeah.
So, Quentin Beck is Mysterio, by the way.
Yeah, like Clinton Beck.
So, I do like that his Oriental rug company is called Bazaar Bazaar.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's like I said, it's been a pretty good season so far. You have Elliot Steven, like the kid who is the young DEA agent, and in this episode we start to see the foreshadowing, which is a foregone conclusion about what's probably going to happen to him this season.
Oh, it was brutal.
Well, what will probably happen to him. So
yeah,
but
and I will say again, and I know you're kind of going with episodes, but I don't want to get too much into like individual episodes, but again, the whole point, or not the point, but the entire conversation of this coming up season is that Reacher finally comes into contact with someone bigger than him, which I love. Neely's line of that is like, last time I saw somebody bigger than you was on Mount Rushmore,
right? Which
a very funny line, really good. That's a Neely line right there,
100%.
And with Paulie, who is basically the gate master of this estate we were just talking about.
He's the gatekeeper looking for his key
bodybuilder.
I think. What's his name? I forget his name.
I don't know his name, but he's like 7'1" or 7'2", like 360, and it's muscle.
He's a bodybuilder. So, like you said.
He's a big boy, and then again, it's all like you're just talking about the foreshadowing. It's all leading up to what we're gonna get in the finale. We're gonna get Paulie.
The guy that plays Paulie, Oliver Richters, was in Indiana Jones and the Douche of Destiny, or the Dial of Douchery.
Wasn't he in the Kingsman as well?
He was the Kingsman, the prequel.
The Kingsman, yeah.
Yeah, and then he was also in Black Widow. So, but he was in the Douche of Destiny. Gross.
I haven't even watched that movie, so I don't even know what he would be in that.
Gross.
So,
ugh.
But
God, the things people do for money.
But Miles Garrett has entered the chat.
Right. So, all right. So, episode 4 was the biggest departure so far for the season. It's a flashback. It is. I thought it was young Neely at first, and I'm like, wow, Neely hit a growth spurt. And we're watching it, and Jen's like, this is horrible casting. Like that girl is way shorter than Neely. And it turns out her name is Dominique Cole. So,
I mean, you all didn't get the name of the title, the episode title.
I don't know. Actually, you know what? I did not know the title when I watched it because I didn't look. So, actually, I didn't know the show was titled Dominique until I put the show notes together today.
Oh.
So just put
more attention. That's hilarious. You thought that was
it's like God. Why is Neely?
That's hilarious.
It's baby Neely.
Yeah, when you said we were talking about, you said that, and I don't think I put it together. I was like, what is he talking about?
So anyway. But no, Dominique was a cool ass character too. She had the same kind of touch of the tism that Reacher has, and they were a good team. They worked well together. And she had a very untimely end.
Yes, and again, I understand. I've gotten to the point, as I mentioned, that this show is not serious. One of the most egregious instances of that was what happened to her, and not even what happened to her. It's how it happened to her. Would never happen.
Yeah.
I was, again, we knew what happened because of something happened, something horrible happened, just of how he would talk about Quinn and her. And what happened was horrible. It's just how she got in that situation that made no sense to me. But again, I just backed off, and this is not a serious show. This is just a show this is like one of those, I mean, you be honest, it's like one of it's perfect. It has the vibe of an 80s show where like an A team or something where something will happen and you're just like, oh, I had fun watching that episode,
Yeah.
even though that made no sense and was ridiculous. So, but to your point, Dominic Cole, she was a really strong character, as you said. I love how Reacher said you would only have to tell her something once. She's very competent, and unfortunately, you know, what happens. But again, I like that little delving into his pre-special investigators
Right.
life, because yeah, again, that I think that might have happened in was that this episode or the episode before? Yeah, it had to have been this flashback episode.
Yeah, no, it was
where
this episode. This was the only. Yeah. So.
Yeah, this is only full flashback episode. The other thing I was thinking about was when he talked to the special investigator on the phone, but that wasn't a flashback.
Right. Yeah, it's this was a really good one. It was a lot of character development for Reacher that I didn't know he needed still. And I do think it explains why he's so violent, because of like who he's after with with the general.
Dude, get out of my head.
And part of it too is like, he wants that title of DK to be Drift King. And he wants to take that away from McCabe fast. Or not McCabe, sorry. What's the general's name? I keep forgetting the general's name. Francis Quinn. He wants that Drift King title, like, and he wants to take it from the original Drift King, not some white trash hillbilly in Japan. What? I can cross anything over with Fast and the Furious. Plus, he's in Fast X. He's Jason Momoa's boyfriend.
You and Fast and Furious.
I love Fast and the Furious. You know what I rewatched the other day? Speaking of things I love, just side note, Varsity Blues.
I have almost, because I don't know what is it on.
It's on. I own it on as a DVD, a Blu-ray, and on digital.
I thought it was on like on Prime or something.
Maybe,
because
I
I've
don't
seen
know.
it
Yeah.
recently.
Well, I saw a clip
and it's
on YouTube when Mox threw the ball. Anyway, let's get back to this episode. Sorry. I had to derail it with the Drift King thing. I'm so happy they didn't show the torture, by the way. I like seeing the aftermath was horrific and horrifying. But seeing the torture would have been bad.
No, it was absolutely. Again, there are times where you need it to see stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That was not one of them. It made it worse, the fact that, and I would actually even argue that they still showed a little too much of her when he was pulling her down.
Yeah,
they should have shown her as little of her as possible.
Yeah,
but that's an absolute nitpick. But yes, not showing it and just showing like her feet, and that's gives you more of, it's more of an emotional impact.
Yeah,
seeing that little of her than it would be to see because again, even though sometimes a torture scene is necessary, I mean, not rarely, but there are sometimes it's not necessarily full on, but you need to see something happening to someone. That character didn't need that, because you had her in one episode. You didn't need that, and it just, the impact of seeing Reacher's face when he pulls up
just
into the barn
his face
and
would have been enough.
Yeah, it was all enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And so before this episode ends, Reacher finds out that they knew, like, they've located Angel Doll's laptop, and they know where the bodyguard is now, and so or where Duffy is, and so they head to another factory, and Quinn's men arrive at the same time too. So it was a great little cliffhanger that like kind of brought us back into the present in a really good way.
And Reacher does a good job with these episode cliffhangers. Yeah. I really like, and again, this is not just for this season.
Cliffhanger, like that's the best part of the show.
Yeah, it does a really good job with
that. But it's something it does really well.
It's one of the cooler parts of the show because they do it consistently,
and
they do a good
Sorry, go ahead.
Do a good job of it.
Yeah, another show that we love that did this same way is also ended up on Amazon Prime. The Expanse.
The Expanse, yeah.
Yeah. The Expanse, they are using the blueprint. Amazon is using the blueprint they made from the last 4 seasons of The Expanse with their other shows. Because Reacher's not the only show. The Citadel was the same way. Mm-hmm. Now the Citadel's not as good as Reacher. Don't get me I'm not even putting on that level, but it's enjoyable as hell, and it did the same thing, and it made me want to watch the next one.
Right.
So, yeah. I don't know. All right, last episode. Most recent episode that we're talking about. Episode 5. So Reacher can't get a hold of Duffy, so he calls the cabin. He calls Elliot, and Elliot calls the company's phone number. And watching Duffy and Villanueva be like, "Wait, it's the weekend. Who calls the number?" And it was like it just showed a lot of capability from Duffy there to be like, "Hold on, this isn't right." Like everybody has cell phones. Mm-hmm. So I liked it. I thought it was a cool move.
Yeah, and you come with a nice little shootout, and again, like when Reacher helps him get out, again by killing he kills one or two guys. Either way, he kills 2. But again, it's hilarious how he just happens to, when he's driving with the other guy, what is the guy's name? Short King.
That's
he accidentally drives the car in the mud. Yeah, it's like, okay, dude, I laugh because it's like he comes across as the guy who's playing such an over the top, incompetent bad guy. It's just funny, and we do get we do get a few scenes in the with him and Paulie, and we finally get the first round, I guess you would say, of what we're going to get whenever they actually go head to head. And funny enough, the episode title is Smackdown, and that's what happens to Reacher. It was like they were doing the that dumb Dana White competition.
Oh, power slap. Yeah.
Good grief, so stupid.
I know, but it's really cool to watch people get slapped in the face.
Oh, I'll watch the highlights, but like to watch an episode of that.
Oh yeah,
to watch a competition of that. No
Actually,
way.
We used to watch like on YouTube, like Russians doing that to each other. And you want to talk about the most savage people that ever existed.
The Russians have some crazy
in that slap fighting competition.
Just I don't know if it was Russians or not, but there were 2 heavyweight MMA fighters against 10 guys at one time.
Oh, you showed me that video. You sent me that.
That was, dude. Those guys, they're crazy, man. Like some of the stuff I've seen, but yeah. Anyway, again, and this going back to what we said before about having the cliffhanger. We have a really doozy of a cliffhanger because Zachary and Reacher are on their way to meet Quinn, and the concern is, will Quinn remember who Reacher is, or was his memory loss legit?
Yeah, when Reacher shot him
and we don't know. Reacher doesn't know. We don't know. Duffy, who was saying, dude, get out of there.
Right.
She doesn't, no one knows until it happens. And we get that last scene of him waiting for Quinn to come around and so obviously pulling out the handgun from the back of his pants.
Right.
Like nobody saw that.
No.
I mean,
nope,
like,
nobody.
But
so this is also
nobody's gonna know
where dear departed Elliot leaves us, as he gets his head kicked in.
Oh yeah,
that was brutal, like so brutal. But I mean, you saw it coming. Like the kid was gonna die. We knew that. It didn't make it any less surprising when it happened, because of the way it happened. But that was like an interesting scene too. The other fun thing is everybody in Zachary Beck's house is an agent of some federal agency. It seems like. You had the because he had the maid, and it's like, is that too much? Yeah. Like, if there's any more, that's too much. I think this is a good, like her and Reacher were the only two,
Yeah.
So, this is a good episode.
Well, it's not her and Reacher. It was her, Reacher, and Teresa.
Oh, and Teresa, you're right. Well, but like, so there's one at a time, and if there's ever more than one of them has to die or get kidnapped. So it's the one in, one out policy. So,
but I'm looking forward to seeing episode. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing, that reaction with Quinn and how he navigates this, because there's no way he can get out of this if Quinn recognizes him, which I have to think. I'm thinking that Quinn actually did have memory loss and didn't quite, he has a couple years that are missing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he also did take a bullet directly to the brain pan. So, and he fell off that cliff. So, he was, like there's a whole bunch of stuff that was happening there that none of it was good. And he only survived because he fell into such cold water.
Yeah, and he didn't drown in that cold water.
Well, nobody drowns in cold water. I don't know. I just made that up.
I was like, the ocean would disagree with you.
I just liked your silence.
And the lakes.
I just the silence was the best part, because you're like, wait, what?
I'm just shaking my head like, oh my gosh, where did we get this?
Hey, I called this episode 465. This is episode 466.
Oh, yeah, I do see 465, which was the Daredevil one, right below it.
I knew this was going to happen at some point. It took 10 years to happen, but I knew it was going to happen.
So the bottom line is Reacher Season 3 thus far is a fun ride.
Yes.
Again, take it for what it is. You'll have fun. And in ways, some of the ridiculousness of it makes it even... Again, this is not Terminal List. Like, where Terminal List was like legit serious. And I can't wait for this. I can't wait for Season 2 of that. And the Taylor Kitsch sequel or prequel series should be coming out soon.
Yeah.
Because they finished filming in like October or like July or October or something like that last year.
It'll probably be like sometime in the spring, early summer.
Yeah.
So,
but this is one of those that's just have a lot of fun, and it's not trying to break new ground or anything like that, which I appreciate. I appreciate a show where it's like, you know what, we're just going to entertain. I mean, again, that's what shows are supposed to do, right? Entertain.
Yeah. And I mean, there's not one thing that talks about Alan Rickman being gay. So it's... oh, wait, no. Being a retard. Either way. No, I'm kidding. We actually like him, even though should stay off
again. Remember what I said about 30 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Say less.
Yeah,
Alan,
say less.
Say less.
Say way less.
Say less.
So go full.
Yeah,
just go full Thad Castle and just flap.
I was just about to say, just be mute. I don't care. Just say less.
Go full Thad Castle in the Memento episode. So when he had the C word. Oh, the concussion. Anyway. All right. On that note, anything else you want to add?
No, not for this.
Okay. Thank you all for listening. We rated this already. Yeah. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week with the Invincible finale. Reacher
Daredevil
episode 6, Daredevil episode 3, and maybe something else fun to talk about. Anyway, all right. Yeah. On that note, see you all later. Have a great day, night, evening, weekend, wherever you are, whenever you are, and we'll see you later.
Peace.
The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. You can find new episodes every Sunday on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, our website, or anywhere podcasts are downloaded. This show is hosted by Darryl Jasper and me, Brian Tudor. To find more information about the show, visit us at infamouspodcast.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Infamous Podcast to keep up with the show. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/infamouspodcast. We have some great rewards for our patrons and are looking for help to grow the show to bring you more of the content you want to hear. Music for this podcast is provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. So, whenever you're listening to us, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.